that if Dylan Gabriel does clear protocol, he'll remain the starting quarterback. But if not, Shedeur Sanders will go ahead and start next week in Vegas against the Raiders. But it's about Shedeur Sanders. Let's be honest about it. That's where all the conversation is going to be, how he looked, some positives, some negatives.
Team reps ever. So he came out of that game. We have not seen him since the Rams game. He comes out there. He leads a drive. He looks like he's going to throw the football downfield. Yeah, did he get sacked? Sure. Okay, cool. Yeah, did he play perfect? No, of course he didn't. He played in one half of football, and he made throws and moved and did some things that I was encouraged by. So now what do? Any feasible organization would say, hey, how's about when we do this? Let's invest some time so he can actually practice.
Kevin Stefanski just made the biggest mistake of his coaching career. While Dylan Gabriel lies in concussion protocol after the Ravens game, the whispers around Cleveland are getting loud. Shedeur Sanders finally got thrown into the fire with 0 first-team reps, and now the entire organization is scrambling. Fans are screaming for answers, analysts are calling out the coaching staff, and here's the kicker. Shedeur might be starting in Vegas next week whether Stefanski likes it or not. But here's what nobody's talking about. This isn't just about one bad game or one injury. This is about a coach who refused to prepare his backup quarterback, a front office that's been lying to themselves about their roster, and a young man who just got set up to fail on national television. The question isn't if Shedeur takes over. It's whether Kevin Stefanski will even have a job when this season ends. Because what happened Sunday, that was just the beginning.
On the media. Listen, today the Cleveland Browns announced that Dylan Gabriel will be the starting quarterback in the place of Joe Flacco. Well, after practice today, the Cleveland media went inside the locker room and they went to find Shedeur Sanders to get his response until the announcement that went on today about Dylan Gabriel. Well,
Shedeur Sanders is who we thought he was. He's a 5th-round rookie quarterback who holds the ball too long and gets overwhelmed by the blitz, which is totally normal. But he had an ugly NFL debut, and he never looked like a serious threat during 2 late drives in a 23-16 loss to the Ravens. To be clear, he had a couple nice moments. He had a few good throws, including one over the middle for 25 yards, and he used his legs to pick up a 3rd down. Sanders started the second half after starter Dylan Gabriel suffered a concussion, and the glimpses of his promise were overshadowed by his mistakes. He threw 1 pick, nearly threw another, took 2 tough sacks, and had a panicky throwaway that got flagged for intentional grounding near his own end zone.
Let me paint you a picture of what went down in Cleveland on Sunday. The Browns are up 10 points going into halftime against the Ravens. Dylan Gabriel's out there doing his thing, and by his thing, I mean struggling like he's been doing all season long. Then, boom! Concussion protocol. Gabriel's done. And guess who has to come in cold? A rookie quarterback who, get this, had never thrown to his starting receivers in practice. Not once, not a single rep with Jerry Jeudy, not a single snap with David Njoku, nothing with the first-team offensive line. You want to know how bad this is? Shedeur himself said it in the post-game press conference. First time throwing to these guys all year. Think about that for a second. The kid is 1 play away from starting, and Kevin Stefanski didn't think, hey, maybe we should give him a few reps with the starters just in case? Are you kidding me right now? Here's where it gets even more insane. The Browns didn't even have an emergency quarterback active for the game. Bailey Zappe's sitting on the practice squad. So if Shedeur had gone down too? What was the plan, Kevin? Were you going to put on a helmet yourself? The league literally mandates that your 3rd quarterback has to be on the active 53-man roster as your emergency QB. But because Zappe's on the practice squad, even if they'd elevated him for the game, Shedeur would have had to be the emergency quarterback anyway. That's how unprepared this organization was. 1 injury away from complete chaos, and they still didn't prepare their backup.
And, Kevin mentioned after the game that you got a rookie quarterback as a starter, got to get him all the reps as possible. And if you've been watching Dylan Gabriel, and judging by fan reaction, you have, it's not gone well. And so it's understandable why they need to focus and practice and making sure he's getting all those reps. The problem is, though,
let's be real about what happened here. This wasn't some freak accident that nobody could have predicted. Dylan Gabriel has been getting cooked all season. The fans have been booing him, the stats don't lie, and yet Stefanski kept feeding him every single first-team rep, while Shedeur worked with the practice squad guys, the hungry dogs, as he calls them, those second-teamers trying to make the roster. That's who Shedeur's been throwing to. Not your starting Pro Bowl tight end, not your veteran receivers, the hungry dogs. And you know what the crazy part is? Stefanski admitted after the game that when you have a rookie quarterback as a starter, you've got to give him all the reps possible. So Dylan Gabriel, who's been failing week after week, gets every single snap in practice because he's the starter. But Shedeur, who's literally one snap away from being that starter, gets nothing. Make it make sense. I'll wait. The second half of that Ravens game was straight up trial by fire. Shedeur came out looking frazzled, scattered, and honestly, who can blame him? He's getting thrown into an NFL game against a playoff defense with zero preparation, no timing with his receivers, no chemistry with his offensive line, just, here you go, kid, go save our season. And here's the thing that's going to make your blood boil. This was completely avoidable. Going all the way back to Dr. Dave Mays and Bernie Kosar, Cleveland knows this story. When your starting quarterback isn't winning games, the backup becomes the most popular guy in town. It's literally been happening for decades in Cleveland. So why didn't they learn? Why didn't they prepare Shedeur for this exact moment that everyone saw coming?
Time is coming sooner than later. Let's listen to ESPN Get Up. Louis Riddick on the show with Greeny talking about this situation. Play that bit.
If that hit happens on Sunday in London, is it Shedeur or is it Flacco who comes in the game?
I would think right now it's Flacco, but I think for sure if you're Shedeur right now, here's your opportunity. Yeah. Here's your opportunity to get more reps because now truly, like they don't want to go back to Joe.
Critics are already going after Stefanski hard, and rightfully so. If a guy is one snap away, shouldn't he have gotten at least 5% of the practice reps? Just something to prepare him? Because what we saw on Sunday was a young quarterback who should have been ready, but couldn't possibly be. And that's not on Shedeur. That's on the coaching staff. Now, let's talk about what happened when Shedeur actually got out there. First quarter stats? Not pretty. He looked nervous, uncomfortable, and yeah, he made some rookie mistakes. The happy feet showed up. You could see him bouncing around in the pocket like he was back at Colorado waiting for his offensive line to collapse. And that retreat from the line of scrimmage when pressure came, that's a habit he picked up from dealing with trash protection in college. Habits that are going to get him killed in the NFL if he doesn't fix them quick. But here's where things get interesting. And this is where I need you to pay attention, because this is the real story. Shedeur started settling in. He started making throws that Dylan Gabriel literally cannot make. That third down throw to Gage Lardon in the end zone, picture perfect. The Ravens defender made a great play to break it up, but that ball placement was surgical. Pinpoint accuracy, touch, velocity, everything you want from an NFL quarterback. Dylan Gabriel doesn't have that throw in his arsenal, period.
Not from
the second they picked Shedeur, they didn't help either one of these guys.
No, well, not just that. It's just the supporting cast just isn't where it needs to be to help these guys grow and develop in game, right?
And the Browns insiders are saying it, Shedeur was always the better quarterback between the two. But here's the dirty secret of the NFL. Draft position matters more than talent sometimes. Shedeur was a 5th-round pick. Dylan was a 3rd-round pick. And when you're a GM, you love seeing your high draft picks succeed because it makes you look good. It validates your decision. So Andrew Berry pushed for Dylan to get every opportunity first, even though the tape, the film, the eyeball test, all of it said Shedeur was the guy. Think about that. The Browns passed on giving their best quarterback the preparation he needed because the front office was protecting their ego. They wanted their 3rd-rounder to work out so badly that they sacrificed proper development for both rookies. Because, let's be honest, they haven't done either of these kids any favors. The supporting cast around these quarterbacks is trash. The receiving room is a disaster. The offensive line got banged up again on Sunday. Injuries piling up week after week. How are you supposed to develop a young quarterback when he's running for his life every other play? When his targets can't get separation? When the entire offense is held together with duct tape and prayers? But even with all that chaos, even with zero preparation, Shedeur showed flashes. Raw skill that you can't teach. Arm talent that makes you sit up and pay attention. And you know what else he showed? Heart, maturity, leadership. That post-game press conference, that was when Shedeur won over a lot of people. He didn't throw anyone under the bus. He didn't complain about the lack of reps. He straight up said, I feel bad for Dylan. This isn't the way I wanted to get my opportunity. Think about that level of class. He could have been celebrating finally getting his shot. Instead, he's showing empathy for the guy who's been getting all the reps while he's sat on the bench.
You don't take him out because you want to go back to him at some point in time. If you're Shedeur Sanders right now, though, whatever you're doing, I'm taking it up a whole nother level. Because Dylan is not promised to stay in there. This is, as we're all talking about, this is really a tryout for everyone because of the draft capital they have next year. And that guy, we may not have seen the last of him yet.
Once again, that's Louis Riddick, a former player director of the NFL, talking about.
Myles Garrett noticed it too. After the game, Myles talked about how Shedeur doesn't complain, doesn't blink, doesn't moan. He just works. Every single day after practice, Shedeur and those hungry dogs are out there getting extra work in, building chemistry, perfecting timing, doing everything they can do even though the organization won't give them the reps they need during actual practice. Shedeur recognized those practice squad guys by name in his press conference. He thanked them for making him better, for pushing him, for helping him prepare even though nobody else was. That's leadership, man. That's a quarterback who understands it's not about him, it's about the team. And then he turned the criticism inward. He said, I didn't play well. He said flat out. No excuses, no blaming the circumstances, just accountability. He said if he gets the start next week in Vegas, he's going to sit down with every receiver and learn what they like, what they do, how they work. Same with the offensive line. He wants to know their tendencies, their preferences, their techniques, so he can be better for them. That's not typical rookie talk. That's veteran leadership from a 22-year-old kid. But let's address the elephant in the room. The lack of reps. Shedeur brushed it off. That's out of my control. I can't focus on that. It's not my problem. He made a joke about engaging with the hungry dogs every day, getting those after-practice reps, making the most of what he's got. That's maturity. That's someone who understands you can't control the situation. You can only control your response to it.
Judging by fan reaction, it's not gone well. And so it's understandable why they need to focus and practice and making sure he's getting all those reps. The problem is, though, when you have another rookie like Shedeur who is a play away, and early on, it was a little frazzled, a little scattered out there. Let's be honest about it. And then he settled in a little bit. So,
Now, here's where this story takes a major turn. Kevin Stefanski said after the game that if Dylan Gabriel clears concussion protocol, he'll remain the starting quarterback. But, and this is a big but, if he doesn't clear protocol, Shedeur Sanders is starting in Vegas against the Raiders next week. And let me tell you something, Dylan Gabriel ain't clearing that protocol. The protocol is the protocol, and it's hard to get through it in a single week. Yeah, every concussion is different. Yeah, it's happened before where guys come back quick. But here's what nobody's saying out loud. Stefanski wants Shedeur to start. He needs to see what he's got. And even if Gabriel could technically clear protocol, can you really start a quarterback who couldn't practice Wednesday, who's missing a full day of prep? Think about the logic here. Stefanski just spent the entire season saying Dylan needs every single rep because he's a rookie starter. Now you're going to throw him back out there with one less day of practice after a concussion? That doesn't add up. My gut tells me we're seeing Shedeur Sanders under center in Vegas. And honestly, that's what should happen. Because here's the truth that Browns fans already know. Dylan Gabriel isn't the guy. The fans have been booing him at home games. The stats are terrible. The offense has been anemic. And while some of that is on the supporting cast and the offensive line, Gabriel just doesn't have the arm talent to make up for those deficiencies. Shedeur does. Those throws we saw in the second half against Baltimore, that's just a taste of what Shedeur can do when he's actually prepared. Imagine what happens when he gets a full week of first-team reps, when he's working with Jerry Jeudy in practice, building that timing, when he and Njoku are on the same page, when the offensive line knows his cadence, his preferences, his snap count. That's when things get dangerous. That's when you start seeing the quarterback that Colorado fans watched for years, making plays that shouldn't be possible. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. He looked rough in that first quarter. He had happy feet. He was retreating from pressure. And you're right. But let's talk about why that happened and why it's actually fixable. Shedeur spent 3 years at Colorado behind one of the worst offensive lines in college football. He got beat up, pressured, hit, sacked. Week after week, he was running for his life. So yeah, he developed some bad habits. The happy feet, the retreating backward instead of stepping up. Those are survival instincts from an environment where he had zero protection. But here's the thing about bad habits. They can be coached out of you. With proper coaching, with better protection, with actual time in the pocket, Shedeur can break those tendencies. And once he does, sky's the limit. Because the arm talent is there. The decision-making is there. The leadership is there. It's just about refinement now. And let's be honest about something else. even with those flaws, even with zero preparation, even being thrown into the fire, Shedeur still made throws that had people's jaws on the floor. That end zone shot to Lardon? That's an NFL throw. That's the kind of ball placement that separates franchise quarterbacks from backups. The Browns organization is at a crossroads right now. They can either commit to developing Shedeur properly, giving him the reps and support he needs, or they can keep fumbling this situation like they fumbled quarterback development for the last 2 decades. Because make no mistake, they've already failed both of these rookie quarterbacks. From the moment they drafted Shedeur, they didn't help either guy. No proper offensive line, no reliable receiving core, no plan for how to develop 2 rookies simultaneously. They just threw Dylan out there and hoped for the best, while Shedeur rotted on the practice squad with the practice squad. That's not a development plan. That's organizational malpractice. And now they're paying the price. Dylan's in concussion protocol, Shedeur's unprepared, and Kevin Stefanski is catching heat from every direction. Fans are mad. Media's asking tough questions, and the front office has to be wondering if they've completely botched this entire situation. But here's where I'm going to give you a different perspective, and this might surprise you. Shedeur is exactly where he needs to be right now. Stay with me on this. Yeah, the situation sucks. Yeah, he should have gotten more reps. Yeah, the organization failed him. But all of that adversity, that's making him stronger. Every day working with those hungry dogs after practice, every snap he's getting with the second team, every moment he's spending studying film and preparing himself when nobody else is preparing him, that's building character. This kid isn't entitled. He's not complaining. He's not throwing tantrums or demanding trades or causing locker room drama. He's putting his head down and working. And when his number finally got called, even though he wasn't ready, even though the situation was impossible, he went out there and competed. That's who you want as your quarterback. Someone who's been battle-tested, who's dealt with adversity, who knows how to handle pressure. Shedeur's been dealing with pressure his entire life. Being Deion Sanders' son comes with expectations that would crush most people. But he's used to it. He thrives in it. And now, heading into Vegas, he's about to get his first real opportunity. A full week of practice with the starters, a game plan built around his strengths, a chance to show what he can really do when the organization actually supports him. Here's what I expect to see next week. A more comfortable, more confident Shedeur Sanders. The happy feet will be less noticeable because he'll have actual chemistry with his offensive line. The throws will be crisper because he'll have spent all week building timing with his receivers. And those special moments we saw against Baltimore, we're going to see more of them. Because here's the secret that Browns fans are starting to realize. They might actually have stumbled into something special here. Not because of good planning, not because of smart organizational decisions, but in spite of all the dysfunction and chaos, Shedeur Sanders might actually be the guy. And if he goes out there in Vegas and balls out, if he leads the Browns to a win, if he makes the throws that Dylan Gabriel can't make and manages the game like a veteran, then what happens? Do you really go back to Gabriel when he clears protocol? Do you bench the hot hand? That's the can of worms that could get opened real soon, and Kevin Stefanski better have an answer ready because the fans won't accept going backward. Not after watching Dylan Gabriel struggle for weeks. Not after seeing what Shedeur is capable of when he's actually prepared. Myles Garrett's already on record supporting Shedeur. He's talking about his work ethic, his attitude, his leadership. When your defensive superstar, the best player on your entire team, is publicly backing your backup quarterback, that tells you everything you need to know about how the locker room feels. The players want Shedeur, the fans want Shedeur, and after Vegas, the coaches might not have a choice anymore. Now, I'm not saying Shedeur is going to be perfect. He's still a rookie. He's still going to make mistakes. That offensive line is still going to be banged up. The receivers are still going to struggle to get separation. All those problems don't magically disappear just because Shedeur is under center. But here's the difference. With Shedeur, you have hope. You have a quarterback with the arm talent to overcome scheme deficiencies. You have someone who can make throws into tight windows when the route concepts aren't working. You have a leader who makes everyone around him better just by how he carries himself. Dylan Gabriel doesn't give you any of that. He's limited physically. He can't make the big-time throws. And he doesn't have that intangible leadership quality that makes teammates want to run through walls for you. So yeah, the Browns messed this up. They absolutely failed in preparing Shedeur properly. They wasted weeks and weeks of development time. They put both rookies in positions to fail. But despite all of that, despite every organizational failure, Shedeur Sanders is still standing, still ready, still confident. And that, my friends, is what separates the guys who make it in this league from the guys who don't. It's not about perfect circumstances. It's about how you respond when everything's falling apart around you. Kevin Stefanski is under fire, and he should be. The lack of preparation for Shedeur was inexcusable. The organizational failures around both rookie quarterbacks have been glaring. And the Browns are once again in quarterback controversy mode, a place they've lived for the last 25 years. But here's what I believe. Shedeur Sanders is about to change the narrative. Not because the Browns did everything right, but because he's doing everything right. The work ethic, the maturity, the accountability, the leadership. That's all Shedeur, not the organization. And when he takes the field in Vegas with a full week of preparation, with the starting receivers, with a game plan built for him, we're going to see the real Shedeur Sanders. Not the kid thrown into the fire unprepared, but the quarterback who was always supposed to be the guy from day one. The question isn't whether Shedeur can be the Browns franchise quarterback. The question is whether the Browns organization deserves him, because so far, they've done everything possible to sabotage his development, and he's still showing out. So what do you think? Is Shedeur the answer in Cleveland, or did the Browns already ruin him before he even got a real chance? Should Kevin Stefanski be on the hot seat for how he's handled this quarterback situation? And if Shedeur lights it up in Vegas, should they ever go back to Dylan Gabriel? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This conversation is just getting started, and next week in Vegas might change everything. If you made it this far, you're part of the real ones. Hit that subscribe button because we're covering every single snap of Shedeur's journey in Cleveland. This story is far from over, and you're not going to want to miss what happens next. See you in the next one.